I didn't have very much of a social media presence before. I think I had around 20,000 followers. But then as I started to post more and more things about being authentically myself, and these talking videos and all those things, I started to develop more and more of a following. And I think they kind of already knew of me because of my dad, and so they were keeping an eye on my platform a little bit. And then as it started to grow, they reached out to me and they just said like, we'd love to work with you. And I was super excited because I've always wanted the opportunity to act again. I think when I was younger, I loved theater, and now I don't get to do it as much because there's no drama club in life, But Oh, he's very excited. He won't stop talking about it. He's like me, he's a talker. And so he won't stop talking about, oh, your TikTok, your GMA, this, that. He's very excited for me because I think he's excited also to have given me this opportunity. Because when he was trying to enter showbiz, he wasn't exactly conventionally attractive. He wasn't mestizo, he wasn't tall, anything like that. So he had to work very, 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 very hard to break into the industry. And he's just excited to have given me this opportunity to follow in his footsteps.
Do you also want to try acting?
Yes, I do. I acted when I was a kid. I did musical theater, and I loved it so much. I was a huge theater kid. I loved musicals. I loved acting. We had a drama class or a thespian class in our school, so I was an avid member of that class. And I think my drama teacher once told me, like, you're my favorite student. And I was like,
yes. But do you speak Tagalog, or are you planning to be better in Tagalog?
Yes, I'm planning to be better. It's always been something I've wanted to learn, except when I was in school, it would be hard to balance all these different classes, studies, extracurriculars, and then learn a new language on top of that, because I was learning a language in school. But now that I'm out of school, I have more time to also immerse myself with more Tagalog speakers, because in my school, nobody spoke Tagalog. At home, I didn't speak Tagalog, so I never had the opportunity to practice. But now that I'm, especially in the industry, I get to practice more, and I'm taking classes as well, and yeah.
Who do you want to collaborate with in Sparkle?
It's Sparkle.
First thing in mind.
I'm not so sure. I think I just love to meet people. Just anyone, I think, regardless of how I see someone on social media, more often than not, people have a side to them that they don't show on social media. And I want to see people in person, meet people in person, see their personalities outside of whatever they portray online. And I think if I have that connection with them in real life, then I'd love to work with them.
Any Tagalog words you know so far?
I know. Okay, one thing I love to use before, I'm gonna butcher this pronunciation. It's not gonna be very good, but kilig. I think that's a really beautiful word, considering there's no direct English translation. It explains things like a universal experience, and I think it's so beautiful that Tagalog has a word to just describe it with one word, versus in English you have to say like, oh, she's blushing and she's super excited, all these different things. But with Tagalog, you say kilig and you know what that means. So
I'm gonna connect to that word. May nagpapakilig ba sa'yo ngayon?
Oh my god. Oh, not at the moment. I don't. I'm not exactly looking at the moment, but I don't really have any.
Pero ang ganda ng reaction mo, yung tawag mo. Parang meron eh.
If I may ask, sorry, the word Nepo is not taken very positively right now, but you embraced it. Why is that?
I think before I started to work with GMA, even people would tell me like, oh, you wouldn't have had this, you wouldn't have had that. Like, for example, I'll post something where I did gymnastics when I was younger, or I'll post a video that went viral, or I'll post something like that. And there's always going to be a comment, you wouldn't have had this without your parents, or like, Nepo baby, anything like that.
Yeah.
And I think the way I use it is not exactly with pride, it's more of, I'm laughing with you guys. I'm not being laughed at, I'm laughing with you guys. So I don't use it as like, oh yeah, nepotism, woo, you know what I mean? I think I use it more to like reclaim it and say like, if you're gonna call me this, then I'll be it. You know? Yeah.
I'm kind of curious. Where did you get that trait of being talkative?
Sorry?
Where did you get that trait of being talkative?
I think when I was younger, I was always the type to interrupt in class. I was always very loud, in the hallways. I do cartwheels. I was a very like outgoing person. And then I think in high school I was bullied, and I think that kind of suppressed a lot of that personality for a while. And so I was a very quiet person, very shy, anxious. I was a very, very, very timid person. And then I think as I graduated, after I graduated high school, I slowly started to come out of my shell a bit more. And I think I like to call it talking dead, because I didn't talk for so long throughout the years of high school. And now it's just like I can't stop talking because I didn't have the opportunity before in a way.
One last one. Okay. I'm just gonna touch a little bit on the recent social media thing when you talked about it,
Yeah.
and maybe my question is, do you think you're ready with Filipino culture, because you're becoming mainstream for status right now? So do you think kaya to like fit into the way
I think it's always been difficult for me, even before being mainstream or before entering the
Yeah.
social media space, because I go to an international school, right? So I've always spoken English in school, at home, everywhere. Everyone that I knew spoke English. It was never really something that was a struggle for me. But then I started to question my own identity, my own self, because I'd go to America, and when you go to the U.S., because I have an American accent, you know what I mean? When you go to the U.S., people would expect, oh, she's not a Filipino, she has an American accent, bring her there, whatever. But when I go there, there's a clear distinction of I'm not one of these people. I don't feel American. I don't feel like I'm from the U.S. And so I don't belong there. At the same time, in the Philippines, I'll talk to a local Filipino. They'll be like, "Oh, where are you from?"
Yeah.
They won't automatically assume I'm Filipino, and so it's kind of this thing that I've had to juggle with for a while. Where like, am I really Filipino? And I talked to someone who is a very who's an advocate for the Filipinos in many different forms, and I talked to them about how I struggled with this kind of thing of, am I really Filipino? And they told me, being Filipino is not speaking a language, it's not practicing traditions. Being Filipino is your blood, and it's your support for your people. And I think that's what I'd like to follow. Like, even though I can't speak Tagalog, even though I don't know these different subcultures of Filipino history, different things, I think I have this unwavering support and unwavering pride of being a Filipino, and I hope that's enough at least.
I hope you don't mind. What was your first reaction when the comments went out already? And then number two, you posted your reply. Did you ask your dad for advice?
Okay, so like I said, I was bullied in high school, and so I always had people in real life, not online, telling me these different things, people talking bad about me behind my back. And so when I first posted the video, I think a lot of my followers know who I am. They know my humor, they know my values, and they know my beliefs. But the thing is, it got reposted to Twitter, where not a lot of people know who I am. They don't know what I stand for. They just see my last name and money. And so it didn't really affect me at first, because I was like, I dealt with this before. People saying things about me even though they know nothing about me. And so at first it was, I was unaffected, and that's when I made the video. So I saw a few comments on Twitter, I saw the article, and then I think my first reaction was also, I need to protect myself. I need to protect my mental health.
Yeah.
And so I only looked at a few things on Twitter before I was like, okay, no, this is gonna affect me. And then I read the article, and that's what I based my statement off of, which was, I guess, a mistake, because I didn't get to see everyone's points of view, everyone's sides, and so I didn't get to see where everyone was coming from in a way, and so that caused a lot more backlash.
Just last question.
Yeah, sorry, it caused a lot more backlash. And then I think when the hate was at its peak, people were starting to comment different things, because I can take hate on my looks. I don't care if you think I'm ugly, I don't care if you think I'm annoying, all of those things, but what people were basically hating on was my values and my beliefs.
Yes.
And that's really what got me, I guess. It really hurt me, because I don't care about being ugly or being annoying or being loud or any of these things, but when you start to comment things about how I don't care, how I'm insensitive, how I'm ignorant, that's when it really it got to me. And I think people were also telling me, you should kill yourself, you're useless, disappointment, talentless. And that's when I was just in my room and I was just crying for a bit. And then I think I have a history of mental health struggles, and so I remember this thought got into my head, like, what if I just disappeared? What if I wasn't here anymore?
What do you mean
And
disappear? Deactivate your social media?
No, what if I just I just didn't exist?
Okay.
And the minute that thought entered my head, I stopped myself. I stopped all my thoughts. I wiped my tears. I looked in the mirror and I gave myself a 10-minute pep talk, just talking like, you faced this in high school, you faced this in childhood. Why are you letting strangers on the internet let you affect you? Like, I think I gave myself a pep talk for a while, and then I think after that I was good. I kept reminding myself every time that kind of negativity entered my head. I told myself again, like, you can do this. Why are you letting strangers on the internet define who you are? You know who you are. I know who I am. I know my values. I know my beliefs. And regardless of what people who don't know me are commenting about those said beliefs, I'm still comfortable in the fact that I know myself and I know who I am. And yeah.
What was his advice when you posted the reply?
My dad, honestly, he didn't know about the backlash at first because he doesn't check Twitter, and so he only knew about it once I posted my statement already. And then he just told me the same thing: don't let people affect you. Don't let these people change the way you view yourself. And I think they're aware of my mental health history, so they also were offering support if I needed therapy again, or if I need to enter therapy again, anything like that. Because again, my mental health was my #1 priority, so I stopped comments and all these different things just so I could protect myself. And yeah.
Just to clarify, the two names, sorry to ask this, but the two names that you mentioned, were they just the top of mind? That's why you mentioned their names? Or
Okay.
was it?
The first, I remember, I mentioned Nadine, and that was because I had posted, I was posted on the news platform's account saying all these things bashing me for being wealthy, basically, or being privileged, and the wealth disparity and all these different things. And I just thought it was ironic that I was getting bashed for having this privilege, and the next post after that was Nadine. I was not trying to bash her, I was not trying to bring her down or hate on her. Rather, I was just trying to show this double standard that was there. Because I get that she worked very hard to get to where she's at, and she wasn't born in a family of privilege like I was, but I think it was a double standard in the sense that we are both currently in a place of privilege. And because I can't control where I was born, what family I was born into, what financial situation I was born into. So I thought it was frustrating. Like, what am I supposed to do? You know? And yeah. And the other names I mentioned were just kind of like a write-on to like this double standard of like, yeah.